was so unexpected and sudden, like a flash of light. Then it appeared like the dawning of a new day. Is this the promised day? When suddenly we realize we are all three souls, the physicality, soul of the man, soul of the physicality, soul of the man. When we finish with life on this planet, we take the physicality, the physical body with us. The word death will disappear from our language. There is no death. How can I express what this teaching means to me? It's beyond anything I've ever come across. It's the true meaning of the resurrection of the Christ, which the Christians never understood. The Tibetans have the rainbow body, where the sage shrinks his body down to a very small size and it dissolves into light, but nobody really seemed to understand it. In India, there have been stories of people taking their body with them, but again, nobody could really explain what it really means. Until today, with this excerpt from the 429 Knowledge Seekers Workshop. We released these following few sentences in the Brazilian intention, and suddenly the souls woke up. Their souls connected to it immediately, and they started sharing their deeper feelings. We have to respect both the soul of the physicality and the physicality. The physicality is an amalgamation of the souls, which by their interactions and collective work, they create the soul of physicality in interaction with the environment. This interaction gives it physicality. At the same time, the totality of all, the collective soul interactions create the soul of the man. There is so much in this teaching. Please ponder it over and over again. Until we realize all three souls are us, and we find a way to relate to each one individually and all three as one. There is something I'd like to share with you. It's about that fear for survival that we all seem to experience when we are waking up in the morning. That is, if we are quiet enough inside and aware of our life. It's a kind of subtle anxiety one feels pervading the space. But if you look carefully, there's no cause for it. It's just a fear inside oneself. Maybe it's like, will I be able to survive today? But then you tell yourself, no, there's enough food in the refrigerator, money in the bank, and I have a job. For now, I'll be okay. Then a cup of coffee or something to distract ourselves, and it goes away. Now with this teaching, of course the physicality is scared, because it knows that if the soul of the man gets free from the cage in the brain and the blood flow, this body will be eaten up by the others. And nobody respects the physicality. We treat it like a piece of garbage when we're done using it. Of course it is scared, because until now, we never knew the truth about the creation. Our job now is to learn how to love and respect the physicality and elevate it so that we can take it with us. Finally, I want to share one more gem from the 429 Knowledge Seekers Workshop, the following quote. We are created by the dimension of the creation of our own soul, by our own understanding and no more. If we look at ourselves deeply, who we are now, then this is what we understand. This is the extent of our knowledge about creation. But we can go further. It's up to us. Thank you. The summary. The first time Keshe Foundation asks knowledge seekers for donation or loan, need to raise 150,000 euros by the end of the day to complete this project. They have already raised millions, but one donor pulled out at the last minute. This will keep the Keshe Foundation independent of government or outside control. It's to open up institutes around the world and bring Keshe Foundation into international awareness. It's release of the technology in the public. Teaching. At the point of death, the body is buried, burned, or disposed of. Soul of the man goes free and forgets about the body. Example of cells of animal flesh and grains of rice. Souls spread all over the world, still connected to the soul that created them. Magnetic fields of the souls are connected to everything, just like those magnets on the table, and that's why they move about, because they're connected to everything. That's why they move all the other magnets on the table. What happens to the souls that we as humans consume? We have been eating from each other's souls in the dimension of physicality. We as humans have not understood what we have been doing and how to correct it. At the time of death, we will be consumed also. We can bring a condition where the physicality comes within the soul, as now the soul is within the physicality. Knowledge is information in the dimension of magnetic fields, non-tangible. At the point of death, the body has to become like this knowledge, not to be consumed. We are responsible for preservation of the physicality after the point of death, to take it into the soul. We transmute the body into energy. It becomes useful for the elevation of another soul, to give life. You don't need to die, or what we call leave a body behind to rot or burn. You cannot litter the universe with the physicality of the man, like when you go to the park, you clean up after yourself. Creation of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality is like the proton and electron. Human race is nothing but a glorified atom of hydrogen, with one proton and one electron outside. The process of nuclear decay is where the physicality is left behind, and the electron flies free to create new orbits in itself, new cycles of life. The situation now is, the soul of the man uses the physicality to elevate itself, and then leaves. He says, I go because you had no respect for me when I was inside you as a soul. We have to understand and respect the physicality, that even after the soul's departure, it's still connected to it. There can never be a separation. It's better that we stayed connected to it since we spent so much time perfecting it. If you understand the transmutation and elevation of the soul of physicality or the soul of the man, you never die. Then you live the life of the Creator, the life cycle of the universe. How can I preserve the physicality to become a lover, to serve, not to be served, instead of becoming a piece of litter or dust? We never respected the physicality or understood what to do with it. The main reason is because we were ashamed of it. It's a president one day and eaten by worms the next. The physicality of the man is a collection of souls. Every cell has a soul, and collectively it has made the soul of the man. Man's dimension of physicality should never end. It's man who has not understood it and has littered this planet for thousands of years. We have to teach and elevate the soul of the animals also to reach the understanding of the level of its soul and how to transmute its physicality. The animal's soul is as intelligent as our soul. When we look at this planet from space, we don't see people or animals. We see knowledgeable lights because they have created the conditions of the knowledge of existence. We need to understand the totality and not just individuality, and the cycle of life has to be correct in all dimensions. We do everything to look after our physicality in life. We exercise it, make it look good for the others to admire. Now we need to understand that it's part of us. We created it, and it created us. Now we have to care about all its souls. When man elevates and understands how to transmute the physicality, there will be no prisons to lock it up, courts to judge it, cemeteries to bury it, or crematoriums to burn it. It will be taught the knowledge and to be a lover. And the essence of the creation of another. When you make a juice, you don't throw the juicer away. This is abuse. You train yourself how to develop it to be useful in the next cycle. We never knew we can use the soul to preserve the physicality so that it can remain with us. The soul of the physicality and the soul of the man, from the first moment of interaction and establishment of the first emotion, should be inseparable for the rest of the time of the creation, not just for a few years on this planet. You have to understand how to interchange between one and the other so that both become the preserver of each other. We have an electron and a proton. The existence of the electron is to keep the proton in position, and anything that leaks out as energy is captured by it and fed back in, that both can exist. Life has to be life for eternity. The elevation of the soul of the man is not just for you to be free, but for you to become responsible for the preservation of the soul of the physicality and the physicality, which you have accepted to exist within. Then would man ever die of any diseases or disorders? Sometimes we are within the soul, and sometimes the soul is within us. It's like when sometimes we drink the water, and sometimes we swim in the water. It becomes essential for us, for all of us, to understand the totality of the process. Then we bring the change to all of us. I have made the man in the image of myself. We have to respect both the soul of the physicality and the physicality. The physicality is an amalgamation of the souls, which by their interactions and collective work, they create the soul of the physicality in interaction with the environment. This interaction gives it physicality. At the same time, the totality of all the collective soul interactions create the soul of the man. To be able to get this point, we need to be able to elevate, not the soul of the man or the soul of physicality, but we need to elevate the physicality in the time, position, and place of its manifestation. We have to elevate it in all dimensions so that it becomes a beautiful being and can exist anywhere in the universe. We don't want the universal community to think of humans as the ones from Earth who, after using their physicality, dump it all over the universe and then go somewhere else to create more. The people of the Earth have no respect for their physicality. How do you expect them to have respect for their own soul? We have no choice but to understand this, because we've been brought to the level of understanding of the totality in all dimensions, and not only in one. You are responsible for three entities: the soul of the man, the soul of the physicality, and the physicality. We have to bring this change to ourselves and the whole of humanity. When you go to a new dimension and you want to put the soul of the physicality out, would you create a physical body that is an acid, where it burns and is in pain and suffering? Or would you change the strength of the soul so that it changes the strength of the soul of the physicality and creates a perfect and beautiful body according to the conditions of that atmosphere? But we don't take from the environment what we need and then dump the rest. We share from the soul of the physicality, with the environment, which allows you to create a beautiful physicality to enjoy the environment. But remember, you're responsible for it. You're more than responsible for it. You have an obligation to it. To be able to do this, we need understanding and respect for all three dimensions. Today, we hit you hard with this truth about how man is abusing the physicality by using it and then dumping it as garbage. You have to understand the totality of the process of creation and become part of it. We need to be able to bring the change to ourselves and to transfer the knowledge from all dimensions. It's like when the pieces of animals, which are souls, are spread across this planet as food. Each of these souls carry information of the soul to serve, not in the dimension of physicality, but as energy fields for elevation of other souls. From today onwards, you have become aware of the transmutation of the physicality, and now you are responsible for it. Now you know that you will not end up in a coffin, because you decide, and you have respect for what you've created and what has created you. You will look after your physicality. Do you dump your mother or your father once you're created and have managed to become successful? How can you do that with your own body? Now you are responsible for all levels of it. It's clearly written in the writings of Baha'u'llah. You cannot transfer a body more than 1 hour from the point of death to the burial. But he never really understood that there should be no body left over, let alone to be 1 hour away. At the same time, if you die somewhere in the universe, Earth should not become a cemetery for all the human race spread across the universe. No one should bring the body home to bury it on Earth. The Baha'i faith became an ideology and not a religion, because they never understood the process of creation. For the first time, with today's teachings, we consider that our physicality will remain a part of us and not go through the process of what we call death. There cannot be death if you know how to transfer or transmute the physicality into energy. I stayed on this planet for thousands of years and never went through the process of death. I just transmuted from an old man to a young child or to a newborn and created another cycle. Always the soul remained the same, but the physicality changed from Moses to Jesus to Muhammad to the rest, to the first man, to another man, to a nomad, to a man in the mountains of Himalaya. All is the same soul. That's why when the Father says, tomorrow night I will tell you another story, because he knows what he has planned for tomorrow night. Then tomorrow night is what happens. He knows what Muhammad, Moses, and Jesus promised, because it is the same soul. He never dumped the physicality. That's why they never found the body of Christ, because there wasn't any. It was transmuted to another. Was the man who talked to Mary Magdalene at the tomb the same soul? The Orthodox Easter is 7 days after the Catholic and Christian Easter. Well, where is the Christ during these 7 days? Or is it again a creation of man for his own ego, for different needs? Think of what you have eaten today. Chicken for breakfast, lamb for lunch, steak and rice for dinner. How many different souls have you consumed during the day in the dimension of physicality? Then you understand man does not need to consume. Man needs to be a giver and not a taker. We are here to serve and not to be served. It's not a waitress job. It's the service for the elevation of the souls. We are not a religious group. We are a scientific organization. We try to understand the science of creation, the science of knowing. Someone told Mr. Keshe, you talk very good, but you can't show anything in physicality. He said, show me. You can do it in the enhancement unit. This means you haven't understood. You haven't even understood the process of creation, let alone you need to see something in a machine. He also said, put an energy system in the market and then the Keshe Foundation will be believed. The magic of Christ was his elevation and transmutation. But today, the magic doesn't work because you're too well educated. No one can create a magic you can believe in. Therefore, you have to understand the knowledge and the real process of how it works. But still, it looks like magic. It's not just the man who gets an enhancement unit. The animals and the trees get the same elevation through similar processes, and the man will create for the elevation of their souls. The man will create for the elevation of their souls, yes. They will reach the same elevation as the man. The CO2 absorption buildings and the systems for agriculture is not just for you to have a better harvest. It's to start the process of elevating all the souls on this planet in the dimension of their physicality. When the Messiah comes, it will be heaven for every creature in creation on this planet. The Messiah has come, and it's for the elevation of every existence. But we hide the elevation in the systems that we build, like the CO2 absorption buildings, or when you put ganzas in the rivers and oceans. The soul of the fish get elevated. So now you can understand. I've done a very good job. The elevation of the soul of this planet will bring that change. It's no use when the man knows what to do with his physicality, but the lion still kills, and the plant still opens its mouth to capture a fly. The process of the teaching of the Keshe Foundation is to bring the fundamental change in all dimensions. I've walked you right into it. Not only changing your life by producing ganzas, and not just for increasing your harvest, but to elevate you, so you don't need to eat the plants. The plant says, I'm here, you can radiate my fields to yourself and absorb it without having to consume me. The plant becomes the orange on top of the cup. and you are the salt water and the Ganges, which you have contained within the skin of the man. Now you understand how simple somebody who knows the knowledge of creation can walk you through the change and do what is needed for all the creatures on this planet and not just for man. This process has been going on for billions of years. It won't change overnight. We'll build the places to absorb CO2 and bring technologies to change the fields into matters, or small stars we call Ganses, and that will change the totality. In the future, what will this planet look like when the plants are existing through their own souls? The trees will understand that if another tree needs more space, then I shorten myself a little bit to let him grow. I can cut myself to show my beauty without ending my own existence. Don't the trees and shrubs do that nowadays? Now we bring the essence that we don't need to take from, but rather become the giver. We will take what is given to us in a dimension of the need. This is what it means. I made man in the image of myself. The image of correct understanding, sharing, giving, and taking. What we need from the environment for our own existence without creating a mess or littering our bodies everywhere. Life should not start on a table of luxury in what I call a flush of a toilet. That table of luxury of food should not exist, nor the system where you have to flush. Man has not understood how the initial process of life should begin. We see it with the mother who drinks the water and converts it to milk. The child is fed with the love of the mother that's in the milk, which becomes food for the nourishment of the physicality. The creation of Mitra and her daughter is the process of how the creation of life of the man has to be here on earth and across the universe. The creator is the creator of all, but man is the converter of some. That conversion comes by the level of understanding and no more. In the coming time, mankind will understand that life means life, and it's for eternity. Up to now, you were locked into the soul of physicality. Now, with the Keshe Foundation teaching, you have become aware of the existence of the soul of the man and the soul of physicality. And today, you became further aware of the physicality, that it also has souls. Now you are responsible for what makes the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man to exist, which is the physicality, and you cannot just dump it after you use it. The only cemetery that will be left for the body of the man should be in the memory of those who came in touch with that man, and nothing more and nothing less. There should be no cemeteries or crematoriums. There should be no prisons to imprison that physicality, nor should there be courts for judging it. He has to be the judge of himself and has to find his own place. The physicality has to be here for eternity. You should not dump your physicality in the enhancement unit just because you elevate the soul of the man. I brought the knowledge of existence right to your understanding and emotion of understanding. You're responsible for your finger, hair, and even your eye. By understanding the totality, now we become responsible for the soul of the man, the soul of physicality, and the physicality, which has led to the creation of the soul of the man. Did Christ leave a litter of his own body behind? No. So why should we? The transmutation of the soul is a complete process and nothing is left behind. We have to understand the full process of the creation and not just the part that suits us or we think is to our benefit and advantage. What is the next step? And how do we achieve the next step, the next level of understanding? In all your prayers you say, the kingdom will come. But the king is you. And the kingdom is serving the soul of the man and the soul of physicality and the physicality. You have no other kingdom. You have no other responsibility than to take care of what has created you and brought you to this level of understanding. There shall be no kingship except a man as the king in all three dimensions. Your soul of the physicality as a king, the soul of the man is the same king, and the physicality also is the same king. All three of them are totality. In that dimension, there is no difference between the life of the physical man and the Creator. Don't forget, there must be a soul, and there must be a soul of the physicality, that its physicality has become the dimension of the universe we see and are a part of. You have the soul of the Creator and the soul of the physicality of the Creator, which is the universe, and the manifestation of its physicality is the man. They all mean the same thing. I made man in the image of myself, as I am the same in all images. It doesn't matter whether it's the soul of the man, the soul of physicality, or the physicality of the manifestation. We need to understand more. We need to understand where we come from, where we are destined for, and how we can create the conditions for manifestation. We need to learn how to manifest ourselves, either in the dimension of the soul of the man, or the soul of the physicality, or the physicality. To learn how to manifest in which level and strength we want to operate. But at all times, we have to be fair and correct with all three dimensions. The process of understanding the totality starts from today. Your responsibility is not anymore just for your child, your husband or wife. Now you are responsible for the embodiment of your creation and what's going to happen to it when I'm gone. Or am I just going to leave it behind? As I am responsible for it, I am also responsible for its elevation and for the others who will get elevated by it. How do you want to be remembered? In the books of the man that get weathered and destroyed? Or in the dimension of the soul of the physicality or the soul of the man? If you are remembered through the soul of the man, you will be remembered by all created beings in the universe. While in the soul of the physicality, you are just an observer and participator in the soul of the man and the physicality. But if you are remembered only in the dimension of physicality, then one day you may be a king with a crown, and the next day in a dumpster, as you'll be dumped in a 6-foot deep grave that it cannot be seen to be remembered. Does man need a burial ground? Or can he remain in the dimension of his own existence? I hope I opened your eyes to a new dimension. I hope I don't need to give you an enhancement unit to show the proof of the technology, or to make something to show that at least the thing works. The thing has to work within you, within the structure of your soul and your physicality and your life. All these systems are here to elevate those who have not managed to understand this part of themselves, of what we have taught here today. I hope we opened a new chapter in understanding, that it becomes easier for you to understand your own existence. Meanwhile, please support the foundation that we can reach that 150,000 euros, so that we can bring this change to the dimension of physicality for those who cannot bring the change themselves. In time, we'll be adding to the knowledge of the man, but man needs to add to his own knowledge by himself through the dimension of his soul, the soul of the physicality, and the physicality of the man. Then he can connect with the other souls of the universe and become as part of the universal community. In the universal community, they don't have international gatherings of people like on Earth. All members of the universal community connects together through their souls, and we celebrate all the time, not only at specific times like on Earth. Thank you very much for listening.